Happy Thursday. It's Facebook Live time. Every Thursday at 7 p.m. here on Melissa's Crafting Treehouse. You can find me also on Pinterest and my website at melissascraftingtreehouse.com. So whether you're here on the live or joining on the replay, welcome. Thanks for being here. I have a fun, unusual opening project for you today. A card that opens in an interesting way. I think it's called a pop-up slider card, technically. I discovered that this afternoon. So anyway, I'm sure there's lots of different kinds of slider cards. We're showing you one particular one today. Welcome. I see Denise. Welcome. And Sandra, thank you for joining me. If you're on the live and want to comment and say hello and tell us where you're from, that would be awesome. Hi, Sally. Hi, Fran. Hi, Lisa. Yay, lots of people joining in. So much fun. So I actually don't really have any announcements really today of any particular business-related importance, except for that I am, I guess, 10 days away. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Catherine. From heading out to, well, I'm not sure it's exactly 10, but I'm going to Europe, to Italy and Greece. I earned the Stampin' Up! Incentive trip. So that is coming up. That's a cruise. And then I'm spending a little bit of time with my husband and daughter in Italy. So super excited about that. Working my little behind off, trying to prepare. Thanks for telling me where you're from, Denise. Welcome from Texas. So, oh, and I see Clinton Park, New York. Yay. Thanks for sharing, Catherine. So I love that you set your alarm to make sure that you don't miss out. I'm setting alarms all the time for that same reason. Otherwise, I would just forget or space out or get preoccupied with something else. So anyway, yes, super excited for our trip. Planning like crazy. I'm going to try really hard. Actually, I may not even bring my laptop. I may be just trying to have fun and enjoy myself, for a change. I love stamping and I love sharing the craft, but sometimes you just need a break. So I'm looking forward to really good food, especially in Italy. So yay. So the project today is, like I said, it's an unusual opening, a pop-up slider card. So I'm going to face the camera down and just go ahead and get started. A couple weeks ago, I did an unusual opening. You guys said you enjoyed it and liked it. And I'm actually just on that note, I love it when you guys tell me what you're interested in seeing and having me share. Hi, Kimmy, welcome. So please do let me know. I had a customer just recently ask me about showing how to do blends and do the blending, especially on a big image like the Magnolia Lane, that big Magnolia, the Magnolia Lane set. So I'm thinking about demonstrating using the blends alcohol markers next Thursday. And so I'd love to hear if you guys are interested in seeing that and if there's other things that you'd like to see me demonstrate or share. So without further ado, I'm going to switch the camera around and get us facing down. Hi, Pam. Welcome. Okay. Alrighty. Get myself situated here. You can see I'm using two stamp sets on this project. One is a piece of cake, which comes with a coordinating punch. And we're also going to be using the punch. And I have to just locate my punch. It's here somewhere. Okay, very good. And we're going to be using a couple of pieces of equipment as well. So because this is an unusual opening, there's a little bit, some technical engineering, if you will. So we're using the Stamparatus. So that's, I'm going to actually, let's change my lighting just a little bit. Getting the lighting just right is a little bit tricky. So anyway, piece of cake, this set right here, lots of different shapes for cakes. I've been sort of holding off on using this because the stamp set and punch were on back order for a long time. So hopefully they're not on back order anymore. I know they've been way in demand. And then I'm also going to be using two sentiments from this set that I'm going to show you as well. Now this one has a happy birthday in it. But for where I wanted to place it, this was a little bit wide. I'm going to actually show you two different versions so you get to see those before we're done. So I don't know if anybody has a Stamparatus out there, comment and let me know. I'm going to show you a couple things, a little trick with the Stamparatus. So one of the things that you can do is go ahead and punch out your shapes using the punch. So I obviously have done that here, just right here in the center. And it's a sort of a paper saving thing to do where it also allows you to help position your stamps, right? So you punch it out and then just place it right there in the opening so you know exactly where it's going to stamp. And now this is really, like I said, for paper saving and helping you with positioning. Obviously, you wouldn't be stamping your image on a focal piece in that shape because it would be, you know, well, I don't know, maybe you would. It's upside down. Yes, now that I think about it. But I've mostly seen this base of the cake the other way, so it's like the cake is upside down and so is the base. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you how you can position where the stamps go so that they fit right in where you've punched, and it's a paper saving thing. Oh, you have one. Oh, good, Fran. Yes, and they're very fun, especially if you're doing multiples of a particular card or just to get the right position. So, and these plates come out when you buy a Stamparatus. You get 2 of these plates, so they can come out, and you can put images on the back side. You can see I have an image on the back side, and then you can put one up here as well. So it's like having this Mondo clear acrylic block where you can place stamps on it anywhere you want. So super helpful. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp a couple of images with this, and I'm using my Real Red and Going Gray cardstock. And now if I want to place it out and stamp them at the same time, I can. I'm doing using Memento Black ink, or I could do these one at a time. But since I'm doing both of them in the black ink, I'm just going to do it at the same time. And I always love to use up my scraps. Okay, so my Memento Black, Memento right there. The Stamparatus is only in one size, but I have never had a problem with it being too small for anything. You can put a background stamp, of course, on this plastic plate, and it's plenty big for that. I guess if you're doing a 12 by 12 scrapbook page, it might be small for that. Okay, so yes, for Christmas, absolutely. For mass production, it's really good. Okay, so now I'm going to take my magnet. Now I've put some washi tape, some pretty sparkly washi tape on this to kind of act like a handle. This is a super strong magnet. You get 2 magnets. Did you see how it kind of pulled my hand down? Super strong magnet to hold the papers in place. And part of the reason why I want to do that is because if I didn't get enough ink on here, or the image didn't show up strongly enough on my cardstock, I can ink it up again, and if I put the magnet there, then I make sure that it's held in place. Now, mine looks pretty darn fine, so I don't need to re-ink it, but I could if I needed to. So now I'm just going to punch those babies out. So there we go. That. And now the base. Now if I wanted to, I could color these images in, even though they're on colored cardstock. It's still an option to color them in. So I'm going to show you on another one of these red cakes. I've used my Cherry Cobbler blends alcohol marker and colored in the top of the cake just to kind of differentiate it a little bit. I think you can do it without doing that, but it just adds a little bit of extra fun. And you can also do it on this one where you actually use the gray on the gray. This is the basic gray. I only have the smoky slate blends alcohol marker, so it would probably be pretty light, but you would get some nice shading, which is always fun. Hi, Cheryl. I see you. Welcome for being here. Thanks for being here. I don't know how to talk. Sometimes it just doesn't come out right. Okay, so moving right along. So I also want to show you this one. So this one I stamped in the Memento on white, and then I really did use the blends and didn't so much do shading, but just coloring in. So I love chocolate, so I did this with the idea of chocolate in mind. And then there's my really nice shaded base with the smoky slate, and I did use the color lifter as well on that. I'm going to show you another project that I did in the browns before we're done. All right, so I'm going to take this away for now, and I'm going to show you a little bit of the construction of the card. So I've actually cut two pieces here, and these are going to be my templates, and I'm showing you these so you'll have the dimensions. But I'm going to actually create my little template, and then I'm going to show you the card. So I have some important dimensions. So the size, of course, 4 by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to be cutting a slit here and here. And I have my 1 1/8 inch spot, so I can use the right side of my cutter if I want. So you guys see the 1 1/8 inch spot right there. It's one of the longer lines past the 1. So I'm going to bring it over there. And then I want my line to be 4 inches long. Now I always have to check and see, okay, this is my scoring blade, and this one right here is my cutting blade. So I want it to go up 4 inches. So it's at the 1 1/8 inch mark, and this is my cutting blade, and I'm saying it out loud so I can remember what I'm doing. And this is supposed to be 5 1/4, and it looks longer than that. So let's see, I have to check something. Check one of my dimensions. You know how they say, measure twice, cut once, right? So that is what I am doing. Okay, so it's actually 1 1/4 inch down from the top. So even though I know it's 4 inches here, my scale here is telling me my dimension's slightly off. So instead of going from the bottom up, I'm going to go from 1 1/4. So you can see the little point of my cutter. You guys see that? Tiny little point at the 1 1/4 mark. I'm going to start there and go down. Now I'm going to slide it over, and I want this edge to be 1 1/8 also. So I'm going to go to the 1 1/8 inch mark. Again, start at 1 1/4 and cut down. So there's this is going to be the thing that creates our fun, unusual opening element. So now I could do two things. I could use the scoring blade on the cutter, but I'm going to actually see if this makes it a little bit easier to see. So I love my simply scored plate, and is that, yeah, centered. So I know that it's my score lines have to be only in the flap. So I'm not doing the score lines on either end. And this might be hard because I can't really see. I won't be able to bring it over. Okay, so I'm going to use my cutter. That's just an experiment to see if it made sense to use this one, and I don't think it does. I think it will be easier to use the cutter. Now the risk of the cutter is that you won't be thinking and you'll actually cut instead of score. So I'm going to definitely measure twice and make sure that my blade, that's my cutter, I'm putting that down at the bottom so I don't space out and do it wrong. And then I know it's going down 1 1/4, so I'm going to put that end at 1 1/4 and start right at 1 1/8 here, and I'm just going to go the length of that inside panel. So there you can see I have a fold line there. Okay, and then the next one is 2 inches from the top, again in between the cut lines, and I'm just going to do that. And this last one is 5/8, but I'm going to turn it around because it'll be easier to see the 5/8 on this end. So that is 1/2, that's 3/4, so 5/8 is right in the middle. And this is going to help us create the mechanism for this unusual opening. Pop-up slider card. Okay. Oh, I'm glad you liked the shading on the base. Thank you, Pam. get to occasionally look up and see what people are saying. Okay, so here is the piece that's going to create the structure that we need for the fun, unusual opening element. Okay, so now I'm going to fast forward to one that I have already started doing. And I've already done some of the stamping, most of it actually. So here I've stamped my lollipops and colored them in with my blends in the Cherry Cobbler, Pumpkin Pie, and Daffodil Delight, and done these all stamped off so they'd kind of be more in the background. I used the Happy Birthday from the piece of cake set and the candles. Now what I did to get the candles in just the right place is I wanted to have my base. I'm going to just fold this the way it's supposed to be folded. It's a little back and forth element like that. So obviously you want the candles just below the score line because otherwise it'll make the candles look kind of wonky. And I wanted my base to hang off the edge of that fold. So I'm going to use glue dots. I actually, if you see the 3 lines in the middle of the base, I'm making that middle line up with the fold. And I'm going to use glue dots on the back of my base. Now, before I do that, I just want to show you. So this is how I did it. I eyeballed where I wanted my base, put my cake on top, and then I took a pencil, pretend I have a pencil in my hand. I had one here just a second ago. And pretend I'm drawing a line right along the top of the cake. And I'm going to cover up some of the candle. You can probably see a faint line of the pencil there, but that's just going to give me a gauge of where I want it to be. So back to attaching my base. Now, since I know that this bottom half of the base is going to be hanging off the edge, I'm going to put my glue dots, make sure my glue dots are just on the top half. And I actually just going to put one on there. I don't know if you guys can see. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Sharon. I have met more Melissas since I've been an adult than I think, ever in my childhood. It was kind of an uncommon name. So it's kind of fun to know other Melissas. So welcome, Melissa. Okay, so there's my base. And then I'm going to put my top on. And I have to decide if I want dimensionals or not. Dimensionals. Who else loves dimensionals? Anybody else out there love dimensionals? Did I say hi, Sharon? I think I did. Hi, Sharon. Oh, I think it has to have dimensionals. I think so. Because it's just a dimensional kind of thing with the pop-up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on. Now, I did color in my candles with the pumpkin pie and the flames with Daffodil Delight. And you don't see the pencil mark, but I might have actually erased it if I was thinking about it ahead of time, but I don't think it needs it. So anyway, there's my little popped up cake. Fun, right? Yeah, a little bit of measuring, it's true. You have to be, you have to want to do the engineering part when you do a card like this, for sure. All right, so here's to putting it together. Now I've seen them done where it's just on a single card, not actually a folded card, but a single, quarter sheet of cardstock. But this time around, I'm going to do it on a full card, because if you do it on just the single card, then you kind of have to put a piece of paper on the back side to get it to fit. So here's, okay, so this piece. So there's a second piece that I have to work with on this. And so the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to take my 3/4 inch circle punch, and I'm going to do a little, not on this, on his. I'm going to do a little notch on the front, and I just want to center it. And I really just want enough so that my fingers can get in and reach the piece that's going to be sticking out under there. And then on my gray piece, I'm going to cut another little notch. Now, since I haven't done it on a full card before, this is a little bit of an experiment. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do that. Okay, well, whatever. We'll just see what happens. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do another half circle with a larger circle punch, just making a little line so I know where the opening of that smaller one is. And use my 1-inch circle punch and just do another little tiny cutout there. Now I might need to do it on the, you know what, I should do it on the back too. That's what I'll do. Because otherwise the back will get in the way. Since I can't do the same thing twice, I have to experiment on camera and show you guys for better or worse if I mess things up or not. Okay, so now this piece. This one's going to sit right in behind. Now this piece, if you notice the dimensions, this little panel here in the center is 2 inches wide. This one, I'm sorry, 1 3/4 inches, I think. Yes, 1 3/4 inches. Yes. So this one has to be a little bit narrower. So 1 3/4, if you had it in 16ths, would be 1 12/16. So this is 1/16 less than the width of this. And that's just so that it slides easily and is hidden in behind. So, because that's what's going to happen here, is it going to be hidden in behind. So I'm going to have it butt up against the top, and then it's going to attach to that bottom panel. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with the real pretty cardstock. Can you tell the difference between these cardstocks? This is my cheap cardstock, super cheap, flimsy, terrible cardstock. And this is my lovely, white, smooth, bright cardstock. Can you tell I love cardstock? Yes, one of my favorite things. All right, so when you use the blends, you may notice on the back side of this that it bleeds through the back side, and that's just what it does. They're alcohol markers, that's what they do. So I have on the back side a little bit of tear and tape that I've put on, just my tear and tape, and I'm going to remove the backing. And of course you have to attach this panel before you do assemble the whole card. And tear and tape is super strong, so I'm holding my finger over the tape until I know for sure that it's in the right spot. Now, the length of this piece is 5 3/16 because the length of the whole card is 5 1/4, so it's a 1/16 of an inch shorter to give myself a little bit of latitude so it doesn't stick out too high on the top or too low on the bottom. So there's my piece there. Okay, so now I get to show you another fun trick with the Stamparatus. So now I want to stamp a sentiment on the inside, so I'm just going to show you how that's going to work once I put it together. It's going to slide open like that. Isn't that fun? Say fun, do hearts. This is the time, guys. Cue hearts. Okay, so it's going to slide up, and you're going to have a sentiment in there in the hidden spot right there. So that's what I'm going to do next. So I've got my sentiment right here, but I'm going to show you how I positioned it. Put my card right there, hold it down with my magnet, and then I'm going to put this, line it up where it's going to be. Should have done it before I put that on, I suppose. Okay. What are you guys thinking of this so far? You guys liking it? Hi, Neil. Welcome. Oh, yay. Fran likes it. Fun. I like capital F-U-N. That's great. Okay, so I'm taking this sentiment. I'm using the sentiment that says, here's to celebrating you. So it says happy birthday on the front, and I just love this sentiment. This is the one that's from the, what is it called? Perennial birthday, I guess. So I'm just placing it in there where it's going to be. Now I did test it out, so I'm going to place it right there. And just because the words look right Doesn't necessarily mean it's oriented right. So this is just one thing to be aware of, because it depends on how you put your label on and if it's exactly the same way. So before I stamp it on my card, I'm going to test it out and just make sure it mostly looks straight up. And now, normally I put a stamp case under there to give me something to press against. But look at that, my glue dots works really well too. Just like right on there. It's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm just gonna eyeball and make sure it looks straight. Not quite. But it's close. Dang. Okay, I'm gonna just mess with it a little. Let's try that again. This is why you test it out, right? Okay, let's see if looks straight now. More straight, still not totally straight. I think that's better, but okay, can't help myself. There's no way I'm stamping this on the card unless it looks right. Ah, shoot. Oh, I hate when this happens on camera. There you go. Oh, that looks better. Okay, well, it's going to be good enough either way. Okay, so does anybody else do that? Yes, the reason why measuring is important. Yes, all that stuff. Check and double check, right? You want to make sure it turns out the way you want it. Okay, so now I'm going to ink that baby up again. And just to be sure, I'm going to test that out and make sure that, okay, I don't want it to be on there, but yeah, that looks about right. Make sure I didn't move it. Okay, there we go. So now this way, with a full-size card, they'll get to have this fun little interactive element on the front, and they still get to open the card. So I'm going to finish this up, and then I'm going to show you a couple of other samples that I've made, and we'll be all done. So I'm going to just use my super strong ATG gun along the two side panels. Okay, I think it didn't come off where it was supposed to. Hold on. Okay, it's on that side, just not on this side. Okay. It's not wanting to come off the roll. Since this is interactive, it's important that it's, that it's held down quite securely so that it doesn't move. Okay, so now getting the positioning just right. Everybody's still out there? People still out there watching? Yes? I am looking down a lot, so can't see what you guys are doing. Okay, there we go. And here we go. Now we get to see the real thing. Woohoo! Yay! So fun. I think it's so fun. So I need to put an inside piece, but now that I did the little notch out on both sides, it works really well to lift it up. And, if you're giving this to somebody and you're not with them, you might actually want to put a little arrow there or something so that they know to pull up. So let me show you a couple of others, I guess one other that I did. Now this one I just did on a quarter sheet of the gray. I'm so glad you like it, Catherine. This is my other version, my chocolate version, chocolate caramel cake version. And this one I stamped all of those little hearts in the kind of pattern, and I used my light and my dark crumb cake in various places throughout, and then I used my light and my dark smoky slate throughout, and then of course tried to coordinate it with the base and the cake itself. And now what really needs to happen on these is a little bit of Wink of Stella, don't you think? Because it needs to sparkle. So I think, of course, the flames have to have a little sparkle, but I also think that the cake should have some sparkle. just make it look wet, like it's actually frosting. And this is pretty fine detail coloring, but fortunately the Wink of Stella has a really fine tip. Who else out there loves Wink of Stella? Anybody? Comment and let me know. Let us all know. Wink of Stella fans. So there you go. Yay! That little bit of shine is so fun. Now, I have a tool that I want to show you just for one quick sec because I noticed, oh, if I can find it. There's my little tool. Darn. It's missing. My tool is missing. Shoot. I know you guys probably know it. It's a little sanding tool. So I just noticed that there's a little bit of ink that got right on there. And this little sanding tool, you can actually basically sand it off. But I don't even remember what it's called, so I can't even tell you. So sorry. Yay, we have Wink of Stella lovers. Awesome. So there's my two cards. This one, of course, opens. And this one doesn't. But this one I would probably put a panel on the back side. You can see I experimented with doing my happy birthday on the back. Sand eraser. There you go. I don't know where mine is. What am I going to do without my sand eraser? I got to find it. So I just want to tell you guys, to do this card and, when I play, I always play with a bunch of different things. So here's my little packet of various and sundry pieces and parts that I played with. I was thinking about doing it in like a rainbow color, and it got kind of crazy, so I decided not to. And then here are all my pieces and parts from doing it in the chocolate and gray version. So there's another card I've made as a variation on the theme. Yay, mono sanding eraser. Now I know what to look for when I have to buy another one because I can't find mine. Thank you, Kathleen. So there is another card coming that I'll be sharing eventually. And then I also was thinking that this set, Animal Outing, would be an awesome one to do with this card layout because you could put one of the animals, because it comes with a set of dies, some framelits that cut out the hippo and the kangaroo, and I could just see the Wild About You being on the inside. Can't you guys see that? Wouldn't that be fun? So this, I think, would be a nice alternative. And I wanted to make another card, just didn't get around to it, so I thought I would share the idea. So that is my unusual opening, my slider, pop-up slider card, I guess it's called. So I'm just going to turn the camera and say a quick goodbye and then let you guys head out for your evenings. And let's do, okay, there you get to see my messy room. And then flip it around. Okay. Alrighty. So, what'd you guys think of that card? Was it fun? You gonna go make one? I'm actually gonna put the these little templates on my website. I will probably add the dimension from top to bottom because that was really helpful when I was doing it. But it's pretty straightforward construction, pretty easy. Just a little bit of patience and time. And just lots of fun, a fun little surprise for whoever receives it. So please comment and let me know what kinds of things you would like to see, either techniques or fun folds or unusual openings or anything that you can think of. It's always fun to do things that you want to see and know that you want to see them. And it's also fun to have help thinking of ideas of things to show and share. So. I will be back next Thursday. That is the 27th? I think it's the 27th. Yeah, that would make sense. Today's the 20th. I think I'm getting that right. Anyway, it's Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on my Facebook page. And then I'll be gone for a couple of weeks, so I will not be doing Facebook Lives during the time that I'm gone, unless I can do like an impromptu from, some exotic, amazing place. We'll see if that happens. So I hope to see you guys back next Thursday. And thanks for joining in today, and happy crafting. Bye, everybody.